Morning, and my topic is the published title that went out in the media was "Be careful what you wish for." And I thought I developed it a little bit, and the revised title is "What am I wishing for? And what am I doing to accomplish that wish?" It's actually, if you kind of look at what you're doing in your life, you're probably more or less doing what you wish for. So if you're wondering, what am I wishing for, then, well, where am I now? Because this is where your wish is really led. So I want to give a story, a testimony about an experience I had where I learned about the importance of wishes and how, important of wishes and how difficult it is to wish for good things. It's kind of a funny story. I was 21 years old or so, and out there on the street I lived, I had a place to live, but I was on the street, going to a bookstore or something like that in the evening. There in Berkeley, California, Telegraph Avenue, it's where all the youth culture began back in the early 60s. And this Oriental woman, two Oriental ladies, about this tall, come up to me like are pulling me into a car and saying, come with us, come to a lecture, or something. And I got I didn't have any special thing to do, and I saw there were two other guys like me also getting pushed into the car, and we all ended up in the back seat looking at each other. And so they drove us to to a house. And it was remarkably experienced like our church, really. It was like a gathering, in a big living room, and everybody sitting on the floor. And a young man came out, American, and he gave a lecture about Buddhism. It was like Tenrikyo, or some kind of neo-Buddhist movement from Japan. Very aggressive, witnessing. Okay, so he said, he exhorted everyone to buy this scroll, which he called Kunzen. And it was written in Chinese, but he said, it was really good, and you should buy this scroll, and you should put it on your wall, and every day you should chant in front of the scroll, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Jamie, do you know what that means? What does it mean? I never found out, but anyway, I remember Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. So I took it. I being a kind of a type of guy I am, I bought one, $10.
So easy.
$10, yeah, so easy. Bought it, took it home, and immediately kind of put it on the shelf. And but I kept it. I like these little spiritual knickknacks, as my wife knows, and I kept it. And then maybe 6, 8, 10 months later, I'm back home at my school in Davis, like an hour away, in an apartment, and somebody knocks on the door, and it's a Japanese man. And he's from this church, this movement, and he wants to see the Gohonzon. And actually, at that point, I had pinned it on the wall in my bedroom. So I took him in to show him the Gohonzon. And he was like, oh no, you didn't do it right. It's supposed to, so he put a little frame around it, and it wasn't supposed to touch the wall, I guess, or something. So he put the frame around it, and he gave his little prayer, and he said, you should chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Have you been chanting? I said, no. And he said, you should chant that, and everything you wish will be granted. All your wishes will be granted to you, will come true. So I thought, well, okay, since you came all the way, you found me here, and you're trying to rescue this lost child, I'll do it. So I had 3 wishes. And I'm not going to try to remember I don't even remember what they were, but there were 3 wishes that came to me. And I said, okay, I'm going to chant and see if these 3 wishes come true. In 1 week, they all came true. They all were realized. But then I realized I'm still not happy. These weren't really good wishes. In fact, they were kind of like not so good wishes. So I realized, I can't even wish for the right things. I can't even, it means my desire is skewed. Even my desire takes me off in the wrong directions. This, and I learned years later, this is Augustine, it is St. Paul. Fallen people can't control their own desires. We wish for the wrong things. So when I heard the Divine Principle, page 1, people feel joy when their desires are fulfilled. The word desire, maybe temporary joy. The word desire, however, is often not understood in its original sense because in the present circumstances, our desires tend to pursue evil rather than good. And then there's another elaboration of this. A fallen person, page 328, a fallen person possesses both an original mind, which prompts him to pursue goodness, and an evil mind, which fills him with evil desires and rebels against the promptings of the original mind. Undeniably, the two minds are constantly at war with each other, inclining us towards shifting and conflicting behaviors. Since human society is composed of individuals who are constantly at war within themselves, interactions among them cannot help but be full of discord and conflict. A better explanation of the world that we live in, I have yet to find. And it begins in me, in each one of us, in me. So what am I wishing for? So, love and truth. Okay, Jesus said, worship the Father in the Spirit and in truth. Love and truth. We all want love and truth. What do we want more? Love or truth?
Love.
Love. Yeah, probably love.
Bad love.
Selfish love. Love. But love really is not an easy thing. True love means living for the sake of others. Really sacrificing yourself for the sake of others. Is that what we want? Well, let's say we do. We want that. But then the next question is, well, who? There's 7.6 billion others in the world, plus there's dogs and cats. Some people sacrifice a lot for their cats and dogs. And there's trees, and people sacrificing for the sake of the whales. What should we sacrifice for? That's where you need the truth. That's where you need order. You need some direction. You need some structure. You need some orientation. So you can prioritize where you invest your love, yourself, your heart. So the truth is, four-position foundation, simply put, your parents. You sacrifice first for your parents. You attend your parents. You live for your parents. You grow from being a child, then you learn how to practice that kind of love for your siblings. Become an elder brother, older sister. Take care of them. Because why? Because my parents take care of them, and I want to be like my parents. I love my parents. I want to emulate them, and so I'll behave like my parents do to my brothers and sisters, and I'll change their diapers, and I'll help clean, and I'll do like that. And then we grow ourselves to become husband and wife and be able to practice that absolute love with our spouse, even regarding our spouse in a parental position. Okay, so what do we do with that? That's very idealistic, and what do we do with? Well, I decided, this is still testimony time, getting back to testimony, that it made sense to me, understanding the principle, that true parents are my parents. Jesus said, before you love you have to love him before we love our mother and father. And so he said, don't love your parents, love me first. So I figured, Okay, that's the message I'm getting here. Love father and mother, two parents, even sacrificing my own parents, and etc. Okay, I want to ask, so how do I love? How do I substantiate love to true parents? And the way it seemed to me, there's this system, it's called Cain-Abel relationships. And then my Abel represents true parents. Or my Abel represents another Abel above them, who represents another Abel above them. Finally, is connected directly to true parents. So, 6 degrees of separation to true parents. That was my situation. What are 6 degrees of separation to true? I know someone who knows someone who knows someone who knows someone who's right there with your mother, like that. Okay, and true mother, God is working so that that person, each step is my linkage, is my active spiritual horizontal link to true parents. So I'm going to love my able person. So who is my able? It was always somebody I didn't like too much. In Oakland they have trinities, and so your trinity leader was your able. So you said, I be your trinity leader. And the saying was, some of my trinity leaders I really liked, but they said, if you have a trinity leader you really like, you're going to get changed quickly, because the whole point is to learn how to love people you don't like, who are hard to love for you. It's not from God loves them, but for you, it's the other thing. Somehow the ones who are hard, I always had these sister trinity leaders. One of them was really, really, easy to love, easy to like. This gentleman, did you come to see Bob?
Come to service.
Oh, come to service. God bless you. Okay, so it's about loving people who are hard to love. So the story is, there's this sister who's hard to love. I love her now, of course. Do you know Sherry Reuter out in Los Angeles? Yeah. Stephanie, your voice is exactly like Sherry's voice. I don't know about the singing part, but when you talk, you sing probably better than she does. Okay. So we are going somewhere. We're going to someone's guest, spiritual child's house, to visit them in the evening. And Sherry's driving. And she seems like she doesn't know how to get there. Because, I'm saying, oh, no, you're supposed to turn here. And the other guy's saying, no, you're supposed to turn there. And she's turning. So she said, you guys, just pray for me. And just unite with me. Don't worry about it. Just unite with me. And God will work. God will get us there. And we got there. So I realized, put myself aside, The main thing is that I love her, that I support her, I pray for her. Not that I constructively criticize her driving ability. The path to hell is paved with constructive criticism. I learned that very early. No, I didn't learn it well, because I'm full of constructive criticism, but it never helps. We've got to love our sinful people. Got to love our able. That's Joshua. Joshua's our person. And one thing I love about Joshua, and I respect, and I notice, he's really united with Reverend Patton, and with headquarters, and with the people at headquarters. He really is, as far as I can see. I see that. So I really want to support and love Joshua. Okay, so that's the order, represented by Abel. Okay, so true parents. What is the vision of our true parents right now for the world and for me? It's tribal messiahship. It's to take care of people, to bless people, to bless their marriage, to give them the blessing of marriage, so that their marriage can be blessed by God, can have God's love infused into it, so the man and woman can be infused with each other, can fulfill Genesis 2:24, which says, man shall leave his parents and be infused with his wife, one flesh with his wife. And then Jesus said in Matthew 19, What does it say? When they said, is it okay for a man? Moses said we could divorce. And what do you think, teacher? The rabbis are trying to trap Jesus. And he says, Moses said that because of the hardness of your hearts. The hardness of your hearts. The human race is full of hard-hearted people. Each one and every one of us. So Moses made a concession. But Jesus wouldn't make that concession. He says, what did it say in the beginning? It says, God made man and woman in his image, male and female, he made them. And he told them the two shall become one flesh. What God has put together, let no one put asunder. Let no man put asunder. Even those two people can't put it asunder. We have no right before God to separate, to divorce. No right. That was so this is the blessing. But we don't have the ability to do that. Fallen human beings, we've got that hard heart, we've got that desires to go in the wrong direction, fight each other, conflict with each other. But the blessing gives us the grace to go over that. It tips the scale to where we can make it if we believe in God. If we believe in God and receive God's blessing and work hard to love each other, to see God in each other. So to bestow that blessing, once you become a blessed couple and you fulfill, that complete faith and you're together, you can share the blessing with others. That's the amazing thing. Because what do a husband and wife do? What do parents do? They have children. They want to have children. So, children in their image. So we want to bless other couples, other families. Because if you have a whole society of true families, of blessed families, of couples that aren't going to divorce, that are going to take care of their children, going to raise their children to be sexually pure, sexually abstinent until marriage, and support them and guide them so they get married, the same blessing, that's a revolution that will change the world. There's no other way. Politics will change. The schools will change. The culture will change. Everything will change. So that's up to us. That's the word. So Reverend Moon, when he passed away 6 years ago, his last prayer, he said, the tribal messiahs, as the couples who are giving the blessing, represent the nation. They represent the nation. What did he mean by that? He said he wanted to restore from the very early days. I want to live in a restored nation. I want to live in a true nation. But try, fail, and fail. You know what Winston Churchill said is the definition of success? The definition of success is to endure failure after failure without losing your enthusiasm. So a true father never lost his enthusiasm. We're going to make it. So when he was ready to go to spirit world, they said, where's the nation? The tribal messiahs represent the nation. We're the nation. That means we have the... And so what is his spouse, true mother, who survived him, telling us to do? Be tribal messiahs and witness and bless people and reach the leadership of the nation. And in America, every state is a nation. North Carolina is, from God's eyes, like a nation. I saw an event, True Mother is giving events all over the world now, and it was in Nepal a couple of days ago, and the president of Samoa was there, and he gave the most beautiful speech, and he said, we're doing like this in all 375 of our villages. So his nation is 375 villages, but it's still a nation. So what about North Carolina? It's got a lot more than 375 villages. So, True Mother is very systematically fulfilling that vision. Because they're one. God put them together and no one can put them asunder. They're one. So, what? For us, tribal Messiah, bless people. Just bless people. And raise them up. I'm always humbled when Antonio and Charlotte come to service. I'm like, oh, no.
Me too.
I'm jealous. Anyway,
You're too far away.
so far away. They're so humble, you know. Compared to, anyway, never mind.
I won't shame us.
So we just work hard at it. We work hard. Well, I mean, this is it. We're all far away. We're all far away. Like we used to say in the early days, you know, compared to an oak tree, you know, there's two acorns, and one's a little one like that. They fight over who I'm better than you. But compared to an oak tree, we're all the same. We're all far away. But anyway, we all have the same goal. And then what do we desire? And what are we doing? What are we wishing for? We all say, oh, I wish for the kingdom of heaven on earth. I wish, well, what are you doing to accomplish that wish? That's the $64,000 question. And in the age of inflation, $64 million question. 430, anyway, we want to bless our ancestors. You know, our ancestors brought us here. And they need the blessing too. Jesus said, there's no husband and wife in the spiritual world. We're just like the angels. You know? No marriage in the spiritual world. Why? Because there's no marriage in the resurrection. I don't know if you read the Bible. No marriage in the resurrection, in the spiritual world. But what? And I thought about that verse so many times, and I realized, oh, it's because he said, what's bound on earth is bound in heaven. So if there's no marriage bound on earth, there's no marriage there. So our ancestors, we can bless them. We can bring them together. We can liberate them and bless them. And on earth. That's what True Mother says. Please do that. Offering your life, offering yourself for that. And yeah, work hard at that. And hard at that. And then on that foundation, God willing, we will meet people who are in a position to be like John the Baptist to Jesus. You know, John the Baptist, everybody in Israel thought John the Baptist was really great. They even thought maybe he's the Messiah. He had big following. So, and he bowed down to Jesus, he anointed Jesus. So if John the Baptist, you know, there's people like John the Baptist in this society. Billy Graham, you know, passed away. John the Baptist. Winston-Salem. Gary Chapman. He wrote the 5 love languages. He's a worldwide respected teacher. He's a Christian minister and marriage teacher. And okay, so we'll find those people. We may find a little John the Baptist. So I'm praying for my one minister who I blessed. And over at Christ First Christian Fellowship Center in Raleigh. Bless their couple. Now he's studying more about divine principle. And we talked the other day, and we talked about bringing prayer back into schools. And then and he said he started his church 10 years ago, and with his brother, and he said that was one of our objectives for starting this church. And I said, well, what have you done about that? He goes, well, not so much, you know, not yet. So then my lovely wife, when I told her that, she said, because bringing God back into school is really a hot button issue. It's kind of purity education, bring purity education into schools, sexual abstinence for marriage into schools. That's what we need. That's what we have also, and that's what our True Mother says. That's what we should do. So she's creating the big picture structure. The upper house of the United Nations, what True Father said, the UN should have an upper house, religious leaders. That's the IAP, that's the Interreligious Association for Peace and Development. Those people don't change. She said the religious leaders, you elect your politicians, they're there for 4 years or 8 years or 2 years, or they come and go. But your spiritual leaders stay. If they're true, true to God, they stay. So the upper house of the UN is the religious leaders. So she's creating it. IAPD is that upper house. IAPP, the lower house, the General Assembly, is the Parliamentarians for Peace. And Tribal Chiefs Association for Peace in Africa, probably parts of Asia too, tribal chiefs. If we win that tribal chief on that island that murdered the missionary, everything will change on that island. It's like to win the chief. Tribal chiefs. And this morning, True Mother was on TV in Nepal. And you know what was announced there? Something I never heard of before. I guess it's new. International Mayors Association for Peace. And like 20 mayors from Nepal all came up and sort of dedicated themselves to this new organization. Mayors. Cities are actually so important. Dr. Durst wrote a book about Oakland, California. And that was a lightning book, because every city, take all the problems of the state, all the problems of the country, of the world, it's all there in the city. So mayors have a big job. If you solve it on the city level, you know, a city is a model, can be a model for peace, model for restoration. So she's creating these structures, and we got to plug into that. That's there for us to plug into, right here, in our own homes, in our own communities, our own neighborhood. That's what I wanted to say. Purity education. And so each of us, be careful what we wish for. And wish for the right thing, we pray for the right thing, and then we have to actually make a plan. You know, after I got so much acceptance in this church, this Christ First church, then I thought to myself, what's the next step? And then when I sat down with Pastor Sneed at lunch, he says he went to the IAPD, to that conference in New York. He was totally lifted up. He was totally amazed. We had a Catholic cardinal. We had a cardinal there, appointed by Francis there. Buddhists, Muslims, you know, Baptists, Pentecostals, everyone there. Hindus, everybody, you know. And then, so Larry says to me, sat down and says, okay, Tyler, what's the next step? And I said, that's a good question. I've been thinking about that. So what he wants to do is a Bible study based on principle. So I gave him something to look at. So we're going to work on it. Because he wants, we want to bless. We did a blessing for the congregation, some of the couples, but, they need more education. And we talked about prayer in schools. We talked about making a difference with the schools in Raleigh, in Durham. Tough market, right? A lot of secularist people. But I think it's like something that cuts across all political lines, religious lines, racial, etc. Family values, the family, marriage, absolute fidelity marriage, and sexual abstinence for our children before marriage. That's the real dividing line. And then sometimes people say, marriage, you mean man and woman? I say, yeah. and only one had a different perspective and walked away. But everybody else goes, oh, good, like that. 99% people, man and woman, that's it. If you act in their heart, they agree with that. They'll overcome the political correctness and they'll say, yeah, that's right. So that's what we need to stand up for. And if we could do it in Durham, you could even do it in Oakland and Berkeley and everywhere. But to do that, we need to unite the churches, unite all the churches and the Hindus and the Buddhists, the temples and the synagogues and the mosques, everybody. Speaking with one voice. That's how prayer got kicked out of schools and stays out of schools, and how religion is getting shoved out of the culture because all the religious people fight with each other. So they're just fighting with each other. Okay, go ahead and fight with each other. You're not going to solve anything. We got to change that. Make unity among the religious people, centered on family, marriage, and purity. know there's more people out there than in here. What's wrong with this picture? I thought they should get this room, and we could be in that little room. Okay, so let's pray. Our Heavenly Parent, true parents, thank you for your love and your truth, Father. We want to have one mind, one heart, one purpose, one direction, and build among each other one mind, one body, one heart, and one harmony. Father, that can be a model for the world, that can resonate and grow, Father, in your image, in the image of the original ideal, that you will work through to create your kingdom on this earth. Now in our lifetimes, this is the goal, this is our ideal. We do it, it's in our hands, in our lifetimes, Father. Let's support each other, encourage each other, Father. And we all have difficult days, like our brother Bob talked about, where the heater stops working, and then the flu stops working, and then everybody catches the flu, and then everything. But Father, those are the points where you can give testimony to how great you are, Father, how much love you have, and what makes life a place that we can grow spiritually. Thank you, Father, and also grow our love for each other. And we offer this time and service together as a church family in the name of the Lord, which